Good morning, everybody. Sean here from the Trusted Business Community Association, and today I'm joined by David Liddle from Liddle Perrett. Now, David's has almost 25 years experience in the industry. He's driven to solve people's problems. He's got a massive passion to make sure that he keeps his eye on the ball and creates the ultimate service standard for those that use Liddle Perrett. He's married, a father of two. He's an adventurer seeker. That one's one thing. He does love going out, getting out into nature, and he's also very heavily involved in local scouts where he lives. David, lovely to have you here. How's things going? Did you get much going on with the scouts this weekend?
I did. I went canoeing on Saturday, which was nice. It was actually nice to be taking part and not running something. I have to say, it was nice. It was really good.
Cool, excellent. And the weather wasn't too bad, was it? Really, to be fair, it's getting better. So I should imagine the kids are going to start to enjoy the outdoor weather pursuits even more as we move into the summer. Absolutely. So let's talk about Liddle Perrett. Liddle Perrett obviously is a member of this association, accredited with us. Tell the people that are listening in a little bit more about the areas that you really focus on, maybe you specialise in, that Liddle Perrett offers.
We are a mortgage and protection brokerage. So we've obviously been around for a wee while. Client-wise, we deal with everybody from first-time buyers to people who've got literally hundreds of houses. So we cover the full gamut of residential, equity release, buy-to-let, HMOs, commercial, bridging, basically providing a whole of market service for basically our clients. I think the thing that sets us apart is we're very much relationship driven. It's very much run as a family. And I think the collaborative approach that we take to dealing with the way that we work with clients and other professional partners, I think is different, but it makes a big difference. It's a much nicer experience for clients.
I think it's really important as well when you do. I mean, one of the things that as you probably know, I've been in and around, not specifically worked in the mortgage market as such. I've worked around it in past careers that I've had. And one of the key things that I think is so important is when you're choosing who do you go to finance a move, or whether you're a first-time buyer, like you say, or whether you've got a portfolio of properties and you're wanting to obviously extend that portfolio. 9 times out of 10, you are personally dealing with somebody's probably one of the largest assets that they're going to obviously invest in, and it's important to get that right, isn't it? So because there's so much choice in the mortgage market, but one of the key things I think that I'll ask you this question, and so that you can answer it, is from what I've seen, there's a huge change in shift on the mortgage markets, and it regularly changes. How do you keep up with all of the changes that are going on? Because it seems to be 1 minute there's this deal going on, and then next week that's been dropped and there's a new deal coming on. I mean, how do you keep up with it all, and to keep that advice like up to date and prominent to the people that you're reaching out to?
Relatively straightforward. I think the most important thing is knowing who you're dealing with. It's much easier to find out what is best advice if you actually spend time to listen to the clients. And I know that sounds like a pretty obvious thing to do, but if you're running a revolving door business, as in an estate agency firm, which is a very different business model, it's very difficult to actually be able to keep up with what's actually the best for the client. Mortgage rates, mortgage products, lending criteria is literally changing every single day, which is incredibly unhelpful in the grand scheme of things. Great for us for business, but it's not really fantastic for the customers out there. And I think in reality, we don't need to be updating clients every single day. There's not a need for that. But they do want to know. People do want to know what's best for them at any given point. I think the frustrating thing in the market at the moment is that it's changing so fast that what you say is right on a Monday is then different on a Wednesday. And then if you leave it over the weekend, it's completely different. Yeah. So it can be complicated to keep up. But the most important thing is if you have a relationship with the client and understand what they're actually looking to try and achieve, and have a relationship that is one where you can say the right thing, as opposed to, I learned a long time ago, we're not here to keep people happy. We're here to look after them. If you went to a doctor, for example, and there was something seriously wrong, you wouldn't expect them just to butter it up in a different way and say it's going to be all right. If it's not, you've got to be politely, truthfully direct with people.
So, I mean, obviously, you mentioned the market changing quite rapidly, and it's like 1 minute it's like right advice on the Monday, by the Wednesday it's not, or over the weekend, hey, it could have changed again. With when you've got somebody, just so the people listening in can understand what the process is again. So somebody, say for instance, comes to you and says, "Hey, David, I want to do my mortgage. I'm a first-time buyer, so I'd like to buy this property." So you you get them the best possible deal by talking to them, finding out more about who they are and what their needs and requirements are. You get them the best deal. That deal changes. It does say that deal comes off the table, but they've already signed up to it. I suppose I take it that they can still have that deal because they've signed up to it, or does that have to change with it?
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not. It's not always that simple. I think the most important thing is never to apply common sense,
Right.
because everybody does, and it's not always right. So the process that we go through with every single client is initially to sense check what they're actually trying to achieve. Quite often, what we find that what somebody's asking for is not actually what is the correct thing for them. So a sense check is important. It works out, can we actually achieve what you want? And basically ascertains what are we actually looking to get. So what do we need to ask that person for? We then go through a process of pulling together all the documents that any lender is likely to want to see, or any providers want to see, and that will then clarify all the non-written criteria. So all lenders have the written criteria, but they also have a kind of an unwritten sense check criteria, and we're looking to cover all of that up front. The reason that we do it up front is because we don't want anybody to waste money applying for different things, or getting into a contract race if they found that dream home and it not happening, simply because we could have asked a question that we didn't at the start. And it's incredibly important to go through all of that, to work out everything up front, and then when the person is in a position to go, when they hit the button, it's all done really, really quickly. We also pull in anybody else that we need to speak to, whether it's accountants, solicitors, estate agents, and that communication done in a collaborative way makes sure that they get a lot further forward, a lot faster. It's so straightforward. I mean, it sounds dead easy, but there's just not, in the industry, there's not enough communication between different people. Estate agents typically don't. They tend to pull people in on the sourcing systems, Rightmove, etc., sourcing buyers, and it seems to be like an electronic process. There isn't the sales progression in the marketplace as much as there used to be. So by plugging into that and making sure everybody's talking up front, it just means that things move to a completion much faster and in a more collaborative way. It's much more friendly. People know what's going on.
Well, as my many people have heard me say, the art of communication is learning how to communicate. So it's important, though, isn't it? I mean, having worked in one of the industries that you mentioned there, which was the estate agency industry for many, many years, the sales progression was always a struggle back in the day to get some honesty of where things were. So having a much more sort of collaborative approach to it and making sure that everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet sounds to me like a lot friendlier, as well as obviously to get to an eventual goal, which is completion of a property, and do it in as quickly as possible, at the timescale as quickly as possible. So it's important that everyone's talking to each other. So you're facilitating that within your business as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key point is if you could get everybody sat around a table, you'd have the client at the head of the table, because ultimately we're all working for the client. You'd have a solicitor, an estate agent, maybe an accountant involved, and ourselves. And if that communication's there from the outset, we're all getting paid from the same transaction. It seems nonsense that we don't communicate. But historically, what happens is people don't spend enough time understanding the other people's viewpoints. So from an estate agent's point of view, it may be that there's pressure to complete in a set timeline. It may be a probate sale. There may be a motivated vendor who needs to complete in a set amount of time. From an accountant's point of view, it may be that the client hasn't given them what they need to do to their account to complete their accounts on time. We should be having that conversation so we're not unnecessarily pressuring anybody around the table. And if it's done in the right way, and if we explain things with the expectation that everybody else doesn't necessarily understand, it's really straightforward. Estate agents absolutely love when somebody picks up the phone and proactively says, this is where we are, this is the timescales, this is what we need to do to help the legals, there's a hold up with the accounts, whatever. They like that because it makes their job easy. And if we can communicate in the best way and make everybody's job straightforward, it makes our job straightforward.
Yeah, 100%. And everybody's informed, so that everyone knows.
Absolutely.
The expectation levels are met because everyone knows exactly what's going on.
Absolutely.
No, brilliant. So you mentioned, obviously, talking about portfolios. You said you cover everything all the way up to portfolios as well. Do you get much, obviously, in the way of the type of clients? I mean, are there many people still buying lots of properties out there and using a portfolio of property as an investment tool?
Yeah, it's interesting. We do a clubhouse conversation once a week on a Tuesday, and it's interesting. The conversation always comes up: is it the right time to buy? If you're buying for the long term, it's always going to be the right time to buy, generally, because it is. It's not stocks and shares when we're jumping in and out. There's lots of different things that will make a good idea to buy. So the EPC changes that are coming up front, with essentially the buy-to-let stock needs to be brought up to standard. There'll be lots of people who are motivated to sell right now, who want to sell in a relaxed manner as opposed to a fire sale. So that will prompt investors. There's always going to be ups and downs. The southeast. I mean, I live in the middle of London. Yes, it's bits of it are overpriced. The southeast is always going to have taken a bit of a hit, depending what you're buying, where you are in value. There's always business to be had. You've just got to go out and find it. Yeah. And talk to people. I think one thing that someone said a long time, or reminded me a long time ago, is that regardless where you are in your life, there's still other people at different stages in their lives. So there's still people getting married, divorced, upsizing, having kids. This is all still happening. Yes, obviously COVID was a bit of a significant bump in the landscape, and then we've had all the nonsense with interest rates flying up over the last 6 months. But hopefully we're now moving towards some stability, fingers crossed. But it's all life is going on. Life hasn't stopped.
No, absolutely. No, but it's nice to sort of get your take on the marketplace as well. David, if obviously people who are listening in want to find out more information or just get in touch with you, where can they find you?
Lots of places. You can find us on our website, which is littleperrett.com. You can find us by the trusted business community, obviously. You'll find links on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and all the usual places. Relatively straightforward. Fairly visible and easy to find.
Fairly visible and easy to find. You've heard it here first, everybody. David Liddle, the man who's very visible, and he is. And of course, one of the key things is if you are looking to reach out to somebody and you want an accredited service standard, then David Liddle of Liddle Perrett does offer you that. So from your consumer confidence point of view, it's really ticked that box. So David, it's been lovely chatting to you today. Thanks for giving us a little bit of an insight into the world of Liddle Perrett and David himself. And obviously we'll look forward to speaking to you over the coming weeks ahead. But if, as I say, anybody wanting to reach out, get hold of David. You can find him on LinkedIn, Facebook, obviously Pinterest, Instagram, the directory, and of course that website, littleperrett.com. Thanks ever so much for joining me, David, today, and look forward to speaking to you soon, pal.
No problem. See you soon, Sean. Bye.
See you soon.